Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of my Pokemon Sleep Journal. Today's going to be a special episode. I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts and impressions on the Cresselia versus Darkrai event as a whole, some of the new features that they added through the event, what I think of Cresselia, what I think of Darkrai, and then after all of my thoughts and impressions, we'll be going into our regularly scheduled sleep session review, and we do get to see a very special Pokemon. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but my first initial thought when it came to this event was just how excellent of a job the team did on making this event more of a story. I think what was done so well was incorporating Cresselia and Darkrai coming to the game with a theme, with an idea beyond just, hey, they're here. I think it's really cool that Darkrai has come and started inflicting nightmares on the Pokemon sleeping at our campsites, and Cresselia is there to save the day. I think that is really well done. They did an excellent job weaving these two Pokemon together in a way thematically that works really well, but also leaves an impression on the player. In our previous legendary events with Suicune, Entei, and Raikou, we really just saw them introduced as legendary Pokemon, and I think it made more sense for them to be a little bit less story-driven, just so we could understand a little bit more about how legendary Pokemon operate in Pokemon Sleep. But now with this Cresselia versus Darkrai theme, where even the in-game map has changed, where the overall mission is going beyond just researching Pokemon, but saving the Pokemon from the power of Darkrai's darkness that he has inflicted on the campsite. I think it's really cool because it almost gives us a little bit more of an incentive other than just researching, but gives us almost as if we are impacting the world that we are in. So this was really cool. I'm interested to see how they're going to implement this into future legendary events and even outside of legendary events. I really enjoyed how there was a lot of purpose and theme behind the darkness that had overtaken our campsites throughout the week, and how using Cresselia pushed the darkness away. I thought that was really well done, beyond just putting a unique look to the campsites like we've seen in past events with like electricity in the air for Raikou, water in the air for Suicune, and like fire coming out of the ground with Entei. And it really does feel like we're making an impact as we can see the darkness start to be pushed away by increasing our event ranks and by playing the game. Now, as we all know, Darkrai is a mythical Pokemon, so it's going to be treated differently than legendary Pokemon. I don't expect the same level of theatrics to come into every legendary event we see. But having a little bit more story-driven narratives through each event, while it does take more effort, I think is really rewarding for players. So it would be nice to see more stories being told in Pokemon Sleep, like we see through special research events in Pokemon Go, where there's a purpose behind what's going on. We are a part of what's happening. We have an effect on the campsite, what we can do to change it through research. I'd love to see more of this incorporated in different ways. So overall, really good job. So as I mentioned earlier, Darkrai is the first mythical Pokemon being added to Pokemon Sleep, but it's also the first all-skills specialist being added to Pokemon Sleep. And I found something really interesting as I was looking through my medals many months ago. I remember noticing something unique about a theme that I don't think anyone has really talked about that much. But if you look at the level rewards for your medals, there are these little dots that appear along the way. And one thing I think is really interesting is that there's like this basic level, then there's this silver level, and then there's a gold level. And then beyond the gold level, there's this weird gradient. And it's the exact same colors as this item that Darkrai drops. And as we can tell by the picture of the item that Darkrai drops, it has the same look as a main skill seed, as a sub skill seed, but it has this gradient, and it's the same color as these medals. I'm curious what exactly this seed will be for. It's also cracked open, which to me symbolizes almost an end of the seed line that we have been using for so long. We have sub skill seeds, we have main skill seeds, now we have a seed being cracked open. Will we see future items beyond just seeds? I'm noticing a bit of a theme here alone just with these items. Now the medal rewards, they stop at this like rainbow gradient tier, this like orange and like fuchsia color. I'm curious, do you guys think we will see a plant grow from these seeds? Could we see potentially mints? I've never really been a believer that mints are coming to the game, but I know that beyond a main skill seed, there is a level of control we would have over the stats our Pokemon have, because we notice that the seeds only become more powerful. So what could be next other than a plant of some kinds? I mean, seeds do grow plants. Seeds grow trees. Seeds grow mints. Another key note here is that with Darkrai being the first all-skill specialist, it's also the first Pokemon we have ever seen with no sub-skills and no ingredients in the B and C slot. This is really interesting because with this new item, it indicates some type of control we might have over these things. It also doesn't come with a nature, which is normal for legendary Pokemon. We didn't see natures with Raikou, Entei, and Suicune, and we didn't see a nature with Cresselia, at least with the base catch, the first catch you get. Now we know that with subsequent catches of legendary Pokemon, they do have a chance of rolling a nature. However, with Darkrai, what we can tell with mythical Pokemon, at least from other games, they're incredibly rare. You usually only get one of them. So how are we supposed to use Darkrai without a nature? Does it just not get a nature, or do we somehow get some control over what its nature could be? We're also seeing the possibility that we may have some control over its sub-skills and how we may get a chance to choose its sub-skills. This hasn't been confirmed, and I am posting this before we are getting any information more about this specific item. Professor Neroli did tell us that we would get more news about this after the event, so by the time you're watching this, you may know exactly what it does. But I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that I think we're going to continue to see more control over how we can almost build a Pokemon to be exactly what we want it to be, given we have the right resources for it. I mean, think about it. We currently have sub-skill seeds to control sub-skills, main skill seeds to control our main skill seed level. What we don't have is a way to impact our natures or our ingredients. Now, we can increase levels on sub-skills and we can increase levels on main skills, but what we can't do is change main skills and we can't change sub-skills. This new item has a lot of power and we don't know exactly what it does, but it does indicate something beyond just Darkrai. For a while now, the developers have hinted on a new change coming to friendship levels that's going to be announced pretty soon, I would say. The friendship level bonuses used to include a guaranteed sub-skill being gold in the first slot, second slot, and third slot, depending on your friendship level. Now you might be wondering, what do friendship levels have to do with this new item that Darkrai has dropped? Well, the interesting thing about Darkrai is that he's been data mined to find that his friendship level is actually at max. When you catch Darkrai, he actually shows no friendship level. He doesn't have a number where you would normally see it, he just has a Pokeball. This indicates two things to me. One is that we may not ever get to catch another Darkrai. We may only get one. And the second thing it indicates to me is that his max friendship level is also something that could be tied to how this seed is used. In fact, we only get the item after catching Darkrai. So could it be that when we max a friendship level of a Pokemon, we also get this seed? At the time of recording this, your friendship level at level 10 guarantees a gold skill in the first sub-skill slot of the Pokemon you have increased its friendship level to. Level 40 allows you to get gold skills in the first and second slot, and level 100 allows you to get guaranteed gold skills in the level 10, the level 25, and the level 50 slot. So we may see an introduction of both a way to control sub-skills, but also potentially choose our sub-skills. So it's really interesting to see how this new item is going to affect that. But overall, I just want to say, I think this was an excellent way to introduce a new item through the story that was being told with Darkrai. So really good job on that, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. Next, I want to go over one note for one thing I think could be improved with legendary events in the future. The event Drowsy Power and event rank reward system overall is great. However, I think the way that we calculate event drowsy power, for the most part, is really confusing. I think, like most players, I still don't even really understand how we get the number that shows up. I know it has to do with the global drowsy power of all researchers, and that is an average of everyone else's drowsy power, but I still don't necessarily understand how it calculates, and I don't think anyone can really do a good job of explaining it to a new player. Overall, I think it's a good idea to have event ranks, but how event drowsy power is calculated really needs to be simplified or communicated in a way that's just going to make sense to anybody. And my last note for the Cresselia versus Darkrai event, and hopefully for future events, is that I'd really like to see an addition to the stat pages of our Pokemon. I think the Cresselia versus Darkrai event is probably one of the most memorable events we've had. With other Pokemon games like Pokemon Go, you can see exactly where your Pokemon was caught and if it was caught during any type of event. I think that's really cool. I'd love to see a stamp of some kind or a note of some kind at the bottom of the stat page just to indicate when the Pokemon was caught. Next, I want to go over Cresselia and its new skill Lunar Blessing. Now, in my previous video, Everything You Need to Know About the Cresselia vs. Darkrai event, we weren't sure exactly how Lunar Blessing would be boosted, but we do know now that it is just the berry component. So in the same way that Mimikyu and Braviary, through Disguise, Berry Burst, and Berry Burst, get additional berries based upon its main skill level, the more Psychic type Pokemon on your team with Cresselia will boost the amount of berries given. Where the game is at right now, we only have a limited selection of Psychic type Pokemon. The clear winners of Psychic type Pokemon to have on your team are Gardevoir and Espeon, and Mr. Mime is a great ingredient specialist, but it's limited on the exact amount of dishes you can cook. Overall, my impressions on Cresselia's skill is that it's really good. Providing two different things at the same time might seem bad, as it doesn't really do either one of them particularly well. You can't necessarily keep your entire team at 100% energy with its healing component even at max skill level. And you're not going to see incredible amounts of strength from its Berry Burst effect without really maximizing the amount of Psychic type Pokemon you have on your team at a very high level. Now, at this stage in the game, some people may have these teams ready to go, and it may work for them really well. However, they're going to need a lot of main skills out of Cresselia to really make it worth it. What's going to make Cresselia be really powerful in the future as the game progresses is the diversity we'll see with Psychic type Pokemon. Right now, I think Raikou is probably one of the strongest candidates for a legendary type Pokemon. I am a bit biased, I do have a really good Raikou and a really good Raikou team, but it's mostly because Raikou has a large, diverse suite of different Pokemon to choose from. All of these Pokemon offer a wide variety of ingredients and skills and overall strength. Whereas with Psychic type Pokemon right now, it's really centered around Gardevoir and Espeon, providing most of the strength. As we see Musharna become more accessible to power up through having enough candy, and with players getting a high enough friendship level to get Berry Finding S, Helping Bonus, and other high priority sub skills to really make it worth it, we will start to see Cresselia become more viable. I think this is a great addition, however I'm not entirely sure if this skill is going to be as powerful as it seems. With multiple berry specialists on a team with Cresselia, also providing a lot of strength through its Lunar Blessing Berry Burst effect, you can really see a large amount of strength because the Pokemon on your team will always be at a very high energy. Now, energy is important. Of course, you want to keep your Pokemon in that green level at 80% or above where they're at their max frequency. Now, if you're like me and you do a full 8.5 hour sleep session as your one and only sleep session, for those 8 hours, you can't heal your Pokemon and they will reduce their energy over time. If you're able to keep your Pokemon at 150% energy before you go to sleep, that is going to maximize the amount of berries you can collect through that period of time. Having both a Gardevoir and a Cresselia on your team is really the best way to make that possible. Gardevoir on its own has the ability to get Pokemon to a very high energy, but no Gardevoir is going to be able to keep you at 150% energy consistently night after night. having both Gardevoir and Cresselia does create this new opportunity. The remaining 3 Pokemon you have on your team, the first probably being Espeon and the other 2 likely being Berry Specialists, can produce a large amount of strength consistently, and that's what I think makes Cresselia so powerful. It produces a little bit of energy to keep you at a really, really high energy level and produces a decent amount of strength. Now we're going to talk about Darkrai, and this is really another reason why I loved this event so much, is that the themes really tie into the Pokemon skill as well. With Cresselia, you have this overhealer, this Pokemon that can provide you healing along with your Gardevoir and provide you a decent amount of strength through berries. And then you have Darkrai, which is almost the inverse. It provides you an enormous amount of strength on its own. At its base, at main skill level 6, it's going to provide you 13,638 strength. With an area bonus of 75%, that's 23,867 strength. That's unheard of. However, this strength comes at a cost, and setting up a team around Darkrai is really like setting up camp at a sinkhole. The reason why I say that is because Darkrai's skill doesn't just give you strength, it has these 2 components like Cresselia's Lunar Blessing, except that the other component removes energy from your team. Any Pokemon on your team that isn't a Dark type is going to lose 12 energy every time Darkrai's skill triggers. This creates a real problem because it limits you on what you can do with Darkrai other than just use it for its skill. So far thematically in Pokemon Sleep, Dark-type Pokemon are some of the hardest Pokemon to attain. Just going down the list, you have Pokemon like Sableye, only available at Taupe Hollow and at high Snorlax ratings, requires 16 friendship points just to catch. The same case goes for Absol, only available at Greengrass Isle on rare occasion and at Snowdrop Tundra at higher Snorlax ratings. You then have Pokemon like Meowscarada that requires quite a bit of candy to be invested into a Sprigatito in order for it to become powerful. The good news is that Sprigatito is available across a wide variety of research areas. You then have Pokemon like Tyranitar, a pseudo-legendary that requires a significant amount of candies to be powered up all the way to level 42 before it can evolve. Next we have Houndour and Houndoom, probably one of the more accessible Dark-type Pokemon, however it is also going to require a significant amount of candies for it to become powerful. And next we have Sneasel, another Pokemon that requires a high Snorlax rating at Snowdrop Tundra or Greengrass Isle, and also requires 16 friendship points. Beyond those friendship points, you're also going to need an evolution item worth 1400 sleep points to evolve it into Weavile. Building a Dark-type team around Darkrai really is going to take quite a bit of time. The whole reason why I bring this up is Darkrai is going to be a challenge to use, but it's going to also be a huge payoff. Designing a team around Darkrai, it really does present quite a challenge. Alright guys, if you made it this far, first of all, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. The video is not over. We have a whole nother segment. I'm going to be going into my daily research session review, and we got a really cool Pokemon to look at, so you're not going to want to miss this. But if you are just here for the review, again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, please subscribe, would really appreciate it. Oh, also, please let me know what you think about the Cresselia versus Darkrai event. What do you think of Cresselia and Darkrai and their new skills? What did you think of the new event features? Would love to hear from you in the comments section below. And without further ado, let's get into the research session. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another sleep review session. It is our Wednesday, April 2nd research session. We do get Slumbering Style and 165 million Drowsy Power, and we started off with an atop belly Bayleaf, which is super cool. And look what we see here on the side. We do get a Meditative Sleep 2-star Suicune. Guys, I was on my, I was just beginning my trip to South Carolina for a friend's wedding. It's 5:30 in the morning, as you can see at the top here, and I couldn't believe it. We got a Suicune, and yeah, I was so excited. And I think there is potentially a small boost given to not just Cresselia, but like all legendary sleep styles during these legendary events. I'm noticing on Reddit and just in other places in general that people are getting a lot of Suicune and Entei during this week. So I think when they boost the, like when they boost Cresselia, they're also just like switching the lever for all legendary Pokemon, We get super lucky on the premium biscuit and it goes for a mega hit. Sorry, not a mega hit, a big hit for 12 points. I do give it my last Ultra Biscuit and decided to purchase the medium Cresselia bundle. I was planning on doing that for the good camp ticket, but it does also give us great biscuits. I couldn't believe it. It just let me continue to feed it, and we get the 9 points at the very end to guarantee the catch, which is incredible. So we catch a Suicune during the Cresselia versus Darkrai event. If you were watching previously in this video, I was talking about getting like special rewards or like a special like stamp on the stat page. I would love if it said Cresselia versus Darkrai at the bottom. So a little biased for that reason, but we're going to check out its stats here. It does get Gentle Nature, I saw. We get level 25, and it gets Helping Speed S and Skill Trigger S. And Helping Speed M, Skill Level Up S, Inventory Up S, Main Skill Chance Up Nature. I mean, I couldn't really ask for better. Like, during the Cresselia event, I was so worried about getting a good Cresselia, and I never got a good Suicune. I think I just caught the base one, so this was just like, this sent me over the moon. I was so excited to catch this Suicune. We got an incredible catch to start off this research session. We did use Cresselia overnight, and we do get its Lunar Blessing skill trigger at the start of the day at level 3. So it's going to give us a bunch of berries. We'll collect some candy from Quagsire. We do get a skill trigger from Gardevoir. We get plenty of tomatoes and mushrooms from Quagsire and Luxray as well. We also get a skill trigger from Dedenne, 171 sleep points. I'm reviewing my research for my friends, and we get 9 Cresselia down, and we upgrade some closeness levels with a few new friends, and that's going to give us 3 ingredient tickets, which is definitely much needed. I am focused mainly on cooking this week as my main source of power, so that's really, really helpful. And we do have a Hidden Power Perk Up Stew ready to go. So here is our team. We've got Gengar and Quagsire for more mushrooms, and I got up so early to start this road trip down to South Carolina that I decided to not cook right away and just continue to gather as many skill triggers as I could from Dedenne to hopefully get an extra tasty meal at breakfast. So we're just going to farm and use this extra time to try and produce as many skills as we can. When you're just sitting in the car, there's really not much else to do. All right, it is 10:55, and we get a skill trigger from our Gardevoir for 18 energy. We still have all these fiery herbs and mushrooms and sausages from Raikou and Gengar, all those mushrooms from Quagsire. So we're going to have to make some room in the pot for that, and we're getting so close to noon that we might as well cook. So we cook a Hidden Power Perk Up Stew, and it goes extra tasty. So what a great morning. We get a pretty much great Suicune and 200,000 Snorlax strength. It looks like that brings us just shy of Master 14, I think. We have plenty of ingredients for Inferno Chemicorn Curry, so we'll take advantage of that. If we don't have any Hidden Power Perk Up Stews left to cook, we'll get another skill trigger from our Dedenne, and we do reach Master 12. Sorry, not Master 14. I got ahead of myself. We do get a double skill trigger from our Ampharos here for about 21,000 strength. And here at 142, we get a skill trigger from Raikou and Dedenne. I tried to pop in Glaceon in there just to see if we could expand our pot. As you can see, we're already filled up on ingredients yet again, which is a good thing. But I do want to kind of cook down all the other ones rather than just deleting them for Dream Shards. I'd rather make use of them. So we do get another skill trigger from Dedenne at 4 o'clock. A skill trigger from our Luxray, who's farming us tomatoes for Hidden Power Perk Up Stew, and we will go ahead and cook lunch. And we do not get another extra tasty, but we do get another Hidden Power Perk Up Stew cooked for over 100,000 Snorlax strength. We are now sitting at 2.3 million. Here we are at 414, just gathering up the rest of those ingredients. And here's how we're looking for Hidden Power Perk Up Stew. We have all the tomatoes we need, but we're going to have to gather all of those beans, mushrooms, and coffee beans. We have a team set up to do just that. We've got Quaquaval here, who's got Ingredient Finder M and Inventory Up L, got plenty of space to gather all those beans at level 30. And then we've got our Vikavolt there, who's a mono coffee farmer. That one also has Ingredient Finder M and Ingredient Finding Up Nature. Our Gardevoir is going to trigger another skill. Vikavolt triggers a skill, which is great, and we get a double skill trigger from Dedenne. So we're looking really good for another extra tasty for the day. We're going to gather up all that extra coffee that Vikavolt gathered for us. And here we are at 10 o'clock. We get another skill trigger from Dedenne and plenty of coffee from Vikavolt. And we're just going to set up a team to farm only beans since that's all I need left. Gardevoir is going to trigger its skill here at 10:26, and we're going to go through our ingredients. I usually don't like deleting ingredients, but I did want to see if we could get the 3 beans left in order to cook Hidden Power Perk Up Stew. Despite having all of these ingredient farmers on my team, I did want to go to bed. It had been a long day. So we do decide to cook an Inferno Corn Keema Curry instead. Thankfully, it doesn't go extra tasty. We do get up to Master 13, so we'll save that 60% extra tasty bonus for the next day, where we will definitely be able to cook a Hidden Power Perk Up Stew and get hopefully 200,000 strength. So we'll see what happens. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate you. If you did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. And yeah, this was a blast to make, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.